Hey y'all, my name is Kayla and welcome to my cozy chaotic corner of the internet. In today's video, we are choosing April's TBR based on a game of bingo. So I actually sort of got this idea from Sydney, who I follow on YouTube. Y'all should go check her out. She does a TBR Spin the Bottle edition. Love that idea, love that in theory, but I was just like, I don't have space anywhere for like a giant spin the bottle board. So I love me some bingo first and foremost, but also I would love a bingo cage. I don't know why, I've always wanted a bingo cage. This is a super cheap one off of Amazon. I would love to get I like the size of this one actually. I wouldn't want anything bigger, but I would love like a really nice like gold one with all of the balls being like the same color or something like that. Oh my god, that would be amazing. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. So how this is going to work is I have found 75 random reading prompts. And I chose 75 because if y'all don't know how bingo is broken down, is 1 to 15 is B, 16 to 30 is I, 31 to 45 is N, 46 to 60 is G, and then 61 to 75 is O. So if you really want like an actual randomized bingo card, you need 75 reading prompts. And then what I would do is I would just be like, give me 5 random numbers between 1 and 15. And then whatever those 5 random numbers were would be my B's. That is how I built out my cards. And so whatever reading prompts weren't used from the 1 to 75, I would use for next month's bingo card. So I just don't want to reuse ones that I select. So with that noted, did I explain that properly? I think I explained that part properly. Once I actually have the bingo card in hand and I am pulling balls, pretty much continue to do that until I got 5 in a row, aka once I got a bingo. How I'm doing it is that every single spot that got checked off, I'm gonna read that prompt. The one requirement I have is I have to read the 5 books that make up my bingo line. Obviously, if a free space made up my bingo line, then I would only have 4 required books to read. And if I do not complete my bingo by the end of April, I do get penalized for the month of May. And the penalty is instead of getting a normal 5 in a row bingo, I have to get 4 corners. So fingers crossed for the month of April, I read my bingo. I'm allowed 1 DNF. If I have more than 1 DNF, May's card will not have a free space. So just to reiterate, my required reads are the bingo line, and if I don't meet the bingo, I have to do 4 corners for the following month. And then if I DNF more than 1 book, I do not get a free space for the next month's bingo card. Are we all on the same page here? Yeah? Cool. Let's get started with rolling the balls and getting our bingos. B2, y'all. For B2, we have a book that has a 4-word title. What Moves the Dead is T. Kingfisher's retelling of the story by Edgar Allan Poe called The Fall of House of Usher. I was like, done, sold, check, next. N35. So for N35, we had to pick a book that featured a hotel. I would like to consider resorts hotels. So the resort is about this woman, Cass, who goes to a resort where she thinks she's just going to be partying up in Thailand at like one of the greatest party places on the planet. Well, lo and behold, a body ends up being found. And we find out this is not the first time a body has been discovered on the property. So let's figure out what the heck is going on at the resort. B14. B14. So y'all, B14 had to be a book that was published the year you were born. For this bingo, I really wanted to limit the amount of extra books I was reading because I have such a wide array of just physical books that I have not read yet. So I went through all of my books and looked at the published dates. And unfortunately, I was not able to find a book that was published in 1990 amongst all these books behind me. I could not, but I was just like, you know what? We're gonna skirt the line a little here, okay? I was like, if I can find a book that was published in 1989 or 1991, that'll be fine. That'll meet the prompt because Kayla said so. Out of my entire physical collection, I actually did have 2 books. One that was published in 1991 and one that was published in 1989. And of the 2 books, I wanted to read this one again, which is Number the Stars by Lois Lowry. I read this book actually a very long time ago, like elementary school, long time ago. I don't know why this is part of my collection, but I thought it would be fun just to delve back into Lois Lowry, Number the Stars. That is the book for B14. N38. So I actually don't have a copy of this book. I just ordered it, but I just didn't have a series that hasn't been completed yet. Every series I own, I've read the first book of it, and most of the series I own are completed series. For N38, I decided to go with The Serpent and the Wings of Night. This is part of the Crown of Nyaxia trilogy, and I believe the second book just came out for this series, like in February, at the beginning of 2024. I think it was February, maybe January. G60, a book that is in the genre of historical fiction. Y'all, I'm not gonna lie. It took me a while to find a historical fiction book that piqued my interest, but I was able to find Maud Horton's Glorious Revenge. And this apparently is historical fiction. What actually is historical fiction? Really? So Constance goes on this trip disguised as a man, and she just wants to explore, wants to learn all this stuff, but then she meets this very questionable scientist doctor dude, and Constance ends up disappearing or ends up murdered. I can't remember, but then Maud is like, oh hell no, finds Constance's diary, finds out that this doctor scientist dude, I think his name was Ed, he was just, causing a muck, not being very kosher, a little sus. So Maud decides to meet this doctor scientist dude and, have some revenge. I-17. A book that was published in a different language. I might be cheating a little with this one, but I went with Sailor Moon. Growing up, I watched all of the shows, American dubbed. I watched all of the movies, again, American dubbed. And I read quite a few of the actual comic books, but I've never actually delved into the graphic novels themselves. And for anyone who doesn't know, Sailor Moon was originally written in Japanese. O63. We are looking for a retelling of a classic. So with that, I went with a retelling of a classic fairy tale with The Girl in Red by Christina Henry. I don't know if you guys can tell by this cover, but this is the retelling of Little Red Riding Hood. So I am actually very excited to crack away at this book. G49, we are looking for a book set in wartime, and with this one I was like, ooh, can I play around and maybe pick a fantasy book that's just around a time of war? But I actually ended up choosing Ragnarok by A.S. Byatt. I have owned this book for more than 10 years and I have never even read the first page. This is about a little girl who receives a book of Norse mythology, and she receives this book during World War II during the air raids in Britain. So she is just like, first off, living in this hellhole, in this nightmare. And then also she gets this book and she's starting to really see the parallels between Norse mythology and like what she is currently living through. So N37, we are looking for a book with dual POV. This one was actually difficult because a lot of the books that had multiple point of views had multiple point of views, not just 2 point of views. But I believe, I'm hoping, again, I didn't want to like, read through the books and get any sort of spoilers, but I'm hoping that I'm hitting the mark with dual POV with Butcher and Blackbird. I believe this only has 2 point of views in it, and it is our 2 main characters. They are both, I believe, serial killers, and it is a friends to lovers situation in this book. G55, we are looking for a book that involves fake dating, and I took it one step further with terms and conditions. This is a book that involves a fake marriage, but a lot of times with these fake datings and fake marriages, like actual feelings start to blossom and bloom, and we'll see if the 2 characters in terms and conditions allows that to actually occur. B4, we are looking for a book that I picked solely based on its cover, and that, quite frankly, y'all, was The Last Ranger. While I was at the bookstore and I bought this, I did read like the inside cover about what the story is about, but in reality, did I buy it because of what was in the inside cover? No, I literally bought it because I thought this cover is just like so simple and classic and gorgeous, and I loved it. So O74, we were looking for a book that involved unrequited love, and that pretty much means that someone is infatuated with another person, and that infatuation or love or lust is not returned by the other character. Ultimately, I ended up going with My Sister the Serial Killer. So this is a story about 2 sisters, Kareed and Ayula. And Ayula is, this amazing social media influencer, absolutely stunning, gorgeous. Everyone just fawns after her. And then there's Kareed, who's kind of like the plain Jane in the family. She's a great human being, but like no one's, dropping their jaw staring at her. Kareed works at this hospital where there's this doctor that she really loves. She really likes him. She really appreciates him. She has a thing going for him. But then the doctor meets Ayula and just like fawns after Ayula. And obviously that's devastating because like this is your man's. This is your space, your area. And now all of a sudden your hot sister walks in and the hot doctor has no interest in you whatsoever. Devastating. I-24. We are looking for a mystery thriller. Now, y'all, I'm not gonna lie, my bookshelves are dripping with mystery thrillers. They're a dime a dozen in my bookshelves. But I did want to go with If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. This is a book I actually started last spring/summer and just never finished. And because I've started it already, and by started, I'm maybe like 3 chapters in. Because I already started it, I just thought, you know what, I would love to actually like crack away at this and actually finish the book. So If We Were Villains is going to be marking my mystery thriller spot for this month's bingo card. G57, we are looking for a book that has 2 authors. Now, I actually don't own a lot of books that have 2 authors. Okay, rewind that. That's a lie. I have a lot of nonfiction books that have two authors or multiple authors, but I don't have a lot of fiction books that have two authors. Now, could I have read a nonfiction book? Absolutely. But most of the nonfiction books I own are, ones I read for college. And I just don't feel like really rereading those. I went with My Dark Romeo by Parker S. Huntington and L.J. Shen. Gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But we are reading My Dark Romeo to mark off our multi-author spot on the bingo card. Bingo! Oh, 71. Sometimes I make myself cringe, y'all. For 071, we are looking for a book that the time span is 1 week or less. And with that, we are reading The Tenant by Katrine Engberg. And this book covers the time span of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. This book covers the time span of 6 days. So, okay, y'all. So this is my stack, my TBR stack for the month of April minus 2 books. This is 15 books in total. And again, I just have to 110% finish my top row. And so just a reminder, my top row of bingo is book that was published the year I was born, which is Number the Stars, a book that was originally written in a different language, which we have Sailor Moon, featuring a dual POV, we have Butcher and Blackbird. Read a historical fiction novel, we have Maud Horton's Glorious Revenge, and then finally, time frame spans a week or less, we have The Tenant. So we for sure have to read all 5 of those. If we do not finish all 5 of those, we have to do 4 corners for the month of May. And if we DNF more than 2 books from this stack, we do not get a free space for the month of May. So, not gonna lie, 15 books, that's a lot. A little daunting. I'm a little concerned, but I think we can knock it out of the park. Just gotta stay motivated. This pretty much means I have to read every single day, which isn't a habit I currently have, but this whole shtick, this whole thing is to get me to read more. So we'll see if we can knock April out of the park. But with that, thank y'all so much for watching this video. Let me know if A, have you read any of the books in this TBR list? B, did you find any new books that you want to add to your TBR list? And C, if you have nothing else to say, please drop a sparkle emoji down in the comments. That's honestly like one of my favorite emojis to use. But with that, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see y'all in next week's video. Goodbye.